Audio. Come on, video. And recording. Cool. Should be good.
Okay. All right. So for members of the public, we kind of got a late start tonight, but sorry about that. Just got all the technical stuff and get everyone here. So good evening, everyone. The time is now 6:55 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Adequate notice of the special meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by transmitting the meeting notice to the official newspapers, providing a copy of the agenda to the newspapers, and posting a copy of the agenda for all hall. Would you please rise for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sam, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Bernhardt. Councilmember Doherty.
Present.
Council President Lee.
Here.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Here.
Councilmember Updike.
Here.
Councilmember Warner.
So moving into our first public comment portion of the meeting tonight, actually, there's only going to be one because it's a special meeting. If anyone from the public would like to address the governing body tonight, please just state your name for the record. Okay, not hearing any public comment. We're going to move on to our first item of business, which is a ordinance introduction. This is ordinance number 935. This is amending the retail food establishment license fee to add a new section 2-31 8B.3 to include an annual fee for food trucks. So just by way of background, we were going back and forth with now having a brewery in Frenchtown and some of the others that might utilize a food truck. Hunterdon County collects $75 to do the inspection, but ultimately, if it's like a reoccurring truck, they're not going to keep coming out. But French only has a $90 one-time fee. So some of the food merchants are turning away, not showing up to sell food in Frenchtown because they said it's becoming too costly. So in the interim, we're going to try have our own annual fee for those that want to do stuff. But ultimately, it's looking like the county is going to take over this function completely, both the licensing, inspections, and it won't be a municipal function. Maybe in the future, there's going to be a conversation about on May 3rd with municipal officials, but most other counties are doing that way, and the county is looking to do the same. So that way, if a food merchant goes through a county inspection, they're good for all 26 towns at one time versus every town doing on their own and then all sending in the individual forms to the county.
Yeah.
So
So it would be all retail food, not just food trucks,
just food trucks for now.
but potentially down the
Potentially,
road.
you'll see if they're going to start with this first because right now all the municipal clerks have to send in the individual things, and they're relying upon all the towns to let them know where the food trucks are at so they can do the inspections. And it's kind of become a cumbersome process,
Yeah.
especially as Mark Salik's done all this stuff with these different trails, the wine trail, the beer trail.
Yeah.
It's turned into a really a growing industry that some of the towns are getting a little overwhelmed with. So.
That's great.
So that's the background. So it's $150 fee for the year versus $90 every event a truck comes in.
Okay.
So is there a motion to introduce this ordinance and then we'll have a public hearing on it? Sam, how much time do you need on this one?
Good question. Ordinance, it would be for the second meeting in May. It would be.
Oh, so we'll put it in, so
Yeah, everything on tonight.
a special meeting.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about a special meeting on Monday, May 19th. And we were gonna do a morning meeting, if possible. Would 8:30 or 9 a.m. be okay for everyone? Is there a preference?
Monday, May 19th, yeah.
Yeah,
It's fine for me, either one.
Yeah.
8:30 or 9, what's the preference?
Okay, could we go with 9 just in
Sure,
case?
yep.
I'm waiting on
The
the
state, right?
for anything?
Yep.
Okay.
So we'll
Gives
do,
us a little bit of wiggle.
perfect. So we would have a public hearing upon introduction of this ordinance on Monday, May 19th in this room at 9 a.m. Was there a motion and second, Sam?
No.
I need a motion to introduce
I'll
ordinance.
move that we introduce ordinance 935.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty?
Yes.
Council President Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Moving on to resolutions, our first resolution for consideration tonight is introduction of the 2025 municipal budget. I'll just give you a little bit of background. This is myself, the council president, and Councilwoman Warner worked on this along with our CFO, Janet Previtt. There was a lot of work in this year. There are a couple drivers of issues in this year's budget included about an 18% increase in health insurance costs in the state health benefit program, some increased pension costs. But a big driver of the rate increase in this year's budget is the fact that River Mills Development, the current developer that owns it, have not paid taxes for a while to the tune of over $100,000. And it's blown a hole in our budget because even if the municipality doesn't collect their taxes, we still have to pay the school tax, local and regional, as well as the county. So we have to raise that in our budget as a reserve for uncollected taxes. In addition to that, the affordable housing stuff is another $40,000 that we are paying out this year. So between the two, figure $140,000. Since the reassessment, every penny on the tax rate, it generates about $25,000. So just with those two issues, that was 6 cents in the tax rate, not including any other spend in our budget. Overall, the budget is up about 0.79 cents
Yes,
per $100 of assessed value.
yes, that's correct.
And, but the big driver was River Mills Development, the lack of collection there, affordable housing, paying for all the affordable housing work, and, health insurance. Those are the three drivers. Staffing headcount's the same. Really modest growth, if anywhere else in the budget. There's the $5,000 in there for what we promised the Business Association for Riverfest. But nothing else, no real thrills.
Those are the drivers, potential for an addition in the police department. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're hoping to get a third officer on board.
Okay.
Yeah,
So figuring $25,000 is a penny on the tax. If you hired a $50,000 police officer, that's 2 cents right there.
yeah.
And normally they come with health insurance down the road, increased pension, increased social security, things of that nature.
Mhm.
But those are the biggest drivers in this budget. I think one of the other things that you see in this budget, the total dollar is up on the budget, largely because of grants. We've included more in 2025 by about $225,000. So when you
Grants.
look at a $500,000 increase in the budget, bear in mind that about 225 of it is grant funding that doesn't cost the taxpayer anything.
No, that's given to us.
So, it's a bigger number than what you're used to seeing, but in terms of revenue, and appropriations, those grants are neutral. So the issues are the affordable housing, adding a police officer, increased health benefits, and the fact that we were not able to collect taxes on River Mills.
Mhm.
I just want to make one point though about the adding the officer. We have been down an officer, so it's not like we are hiring above what we should be staffed for.
Mhm.
I want to be very clear about that.
That's been a vacancy since I got here in late 23.
Yeah, when we lost
He was gone for
Brendan, yeah,
16, 18 months.
right.
Is there any correspondence from River Mills on catching up with their,
Crickets.
Yeah.
that's what I figured, we just.
Yeah, one of the things we talked with the tax collector, right?
Mhm.
We're looking at accelerating the tax sale and doing it in June to sell the liens on the lots, tax liens against the lots.
I don't know if you call that accelerated. I think it's just an earlier tax sale than what we're used to doing.
Yeah, because we always wait till almost the end of the year, it
Right.
seems.
You give everybody the opportunity.
Mhm.
She's been very diligent about sending out delinquent notices. She's really made some big strides as far as collections go. So I do think that in the future, aside from River Mills,
Mhm.
our collection rate would be favorable. But crickets on River Mills and zero. So it's a big hole right there
And
for
still,
a
we're
small borough.
still outstanding, some of the capital contribution monies that River Mills was supposed to pay
Mhm.
as part of that development too. So,
Also, that would probably help your COA
Yeah, we have 4 units,
Oh,
yes,
100%.
and we have 4 units that were
Yeah.
promised down there too.
Right.
I know
So,
Albert's
Fees.
Cruz has tried some additional outreaches to River or the representatives of River Mills.
Mhm.
I know that the homeowners association has their own issues with the current developer, so it's not a. At this point, it's a pretty distressed property.
So, one of the questions that, on sheet 3, the 94.89%. That. Is that our rate that we're recovering taxes at? Right now? That's
Line 3.
On sheet 3 in the middle of sheet 3 in the box.
It actually is line 3.
94.
Yes,
Yeah, 3 and 3, right?
Yeah.
yes. Our collection rate is down at 94.8.
Okay,
For budgeting purposes, we're permitted to average the last 3 years to see if that would give us some favorable relief. Didn't give us much. If you took River Mills, if you took that issue out of the equation, I think we'd be up at probably 98, somewhere in there. And typically, the tax collector is looking for a collection rate 98, 99.
Yeah.
Particularly when she's being, so diligent about delinquent notices and
Yeah.
resolving those kinds of issues,
Mhm.
so.
And the cost for the 3rd officer, that's built into this year's
It is,
budget?
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Right, okay, and to be clear about, when we talk about the cost of affordable housing, what
Mhm.
we're referring to is the fees we're paying our planner in
Mhm.
particular for the work they need to do to respond to the law and
Mhm.
help us keep in compliance with
And the
that.
marketing, right? The,
So there's
Or
two
agent.
components. One is the planning, which is that report that's required with all these deadlines that are
Yep.
looming, I guess,
Working on
June
that.
30th.
yeah,
Yeah.
The other piece of that is there's a contract with a nonprofit
Right,
that does the administration. So if someone wants to get on a waiting list or they need to be recertified for affordable housing, that nonprofit has a minimum contract amount. We have to budget for that. If you sign a contract for it, you gotta have budget money for it. We don't typically spend quite that much. Their minimum is 10,000. We spend closer to 5. So I'm crossing my fingers that 2025 is gonna be similar.
right,
And that would provide us some wiggle room, but we can't reduce that number based on the fact that that contract is signed.
yeah, I understand, I just didn't want people to think that it was actually money spent on housing per se,
No.
it's actually
right.
on the services and fees
Mhm.
related to, the program itself, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Mhm.
One of the other things I think that is worth considering and talking about for the future is we're really relying upon property taxes for everything in the borough. There's really very few miscellaneous
Right.
fees that are generated around things. I do think we need to have a conversation about diversifying our revenue streams,
Yeah.
Mhm.
which would include, I think, parking meters.
Mhm.
I did have a conversation with the Bridge Commission with a representative from Government Affairs. Looks like there's no prohibition whatsoever on the park and ride area if we want to put meter that down the road. So that's something I think is positive, and I know there's been conversations around cannabis and sales tax associated with that.
Mhm.
So,
Nice.
No, I concur.
because otherwise, we have nothing to really backstop us when we have a property
Yeah,
going to these.
'cause-
And we've
Mm.
dealt with that over the years, different times.
yeah, I don't think people necessarily realize that, we as a municipality have obligations to the school and other entities that we have to meet, period. So if, we have, as you indicated, a shortfall in one area, we've got to make it.
It does not go away. It's shared amongst the paying taxpayers. Is how that works.
Right,
So, and
exactly. Yeah.
any other comments on the budget? Did you want to add anything? Or like separately, or I mean, that's what my takeaway from our meetings of where we're at.
I think also, the professional fees for the engineers with the enhancements that we're looking at around the Safe Streets Advisory Committee cannot be, the more that we rely on our engineers and our attorneys for help with some of those issues, that's going to increase the amount for our professional fees, and we're seeing increases in professional fees. There are a lot of Oprah requests that are coming in,
Mhm.
And that council to fulfill those requests creates an increase in professional fees as well, so. I think it's important for everybody to be aware of that.
To add on to that, I think if you look at the sewer utility, that's also budgeted tightly. Collections, again, important. There's not a lot of fluff built in here anywhere.
That's a very good
So
point. Yeah.
unforeseen events, things last year, it was, I want to say an HVAC, Sam?
Yeah.
Right? You had to go for an HVAC, we had some storms, we had some tree work. That doesn't sound like the end of the world. I mean, it certainly wasn't Superstorm Sandy or anything like that, but spent a lot of money
Mhm.
that isn't really there. So I think it's important when the council is considering new initiatives or enhanced initiatives, having to look at what do we have in the budget for the planner, for council, for the engineer, for the contractors. I think that's important to consider. Open space, very tight. So when you look at something like skate park, there's gotta be a consensus there and an end game, I think. I see those, come through and like, oh, open space.
Yeah,
That would be my other two comments.
Going back to the River Mills for a minute.
Yes.
So, because when you mentioned sewer fees, it got me thinking, the individual homeowners, if that's what you call them at River Mills, they pay their sewer fees directly,
Mhm.
Yes,
but they don't pay their property taxes directly. So when you say, oh, I know what's going on, sorry, they're paying their property taxes. It's the taxes on the other lots that haven't
It's
been
the
developed.
undeveloped lots, yeah,
yes.
That,
Yep.
that are not paying their fee.
Yeah.
They don't have sewer on them. so
Right.
There's no sewer fee there.
Right,
I follow, never mind.
but the homeowners are paying their.
Yeah,
they're paying-
that's been fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Collection on the homeowners, sewer collections on the homeowners, that's fine. It's on the other properties.
Understood, yeah, understood.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on the budget? Not hearing, is there a motion to introduce the 2025 municipal budget and set the public hearing for Monday, May 19th at 9 AM?
So moved.
Back in John.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dougherty?
Yes.
Council President Lee Tag?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Calendar. Oh, is this? I can't. You gotta do that one.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I'm prepared. I just
Okay,
need to
thanks.
explain. So because the mayor is recused, recused from 2025-76, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of an addendum to the agreement for provision of energy supply services between the borough of Frenchtown and IDT Energy. I am going to talk about this a little bit. It is the program that we have offered in buying our energy through the energy co-op. That is through IDT and Concord Energy. It is a program that we offer to residents to buy energy at a cheaper rate and to do more to participate in a green 100% green program option as well. We had to put the brakes on offering this program because of the changes that were going through the state of New Jersey and the increases to energy. So that has been resolved. There, to be very clear, energy is going up. Energy prices are set to rise by 17 to 20% effective June 1 of 2025. And that is impacting all residential, commercial, and industrial across New Jersey and 12 other states. What's happening is New Jersey is consuming energy at a higher rate than it can produce. And it leaned very heavily on Pennsylvania. But with these AI facilities, they are energy gobblers, for lack of a better word. And whereas Pennsylvania could give the energy to New Jersey for our consumption, Virginia is now drawing off of Pennsylvania as well, and there is, it's causing the cost of energy to rise. So, this program allows residents to buy in at the rate that's been, auctioned and, approved for us. And, that will be the new rate for the residents that have opted into this program. There are people that are not participating in this program, and that will take place from June 1 through November 30 of 2025. Each resident that is part of this program will receive a postcard at their homes, giving them the details of what the rate is and the duration of this program. So because there are changes that are going up later in the year as well, we are going to see that there's going to be another round where the this company will have to go back out to auction, and then we'll be at a new space in terms of pricing for the energy as that approaches. So we're asking for consideration of this resolution to approve the addendum because the agreement was set to start earlier in the year than what it actually did. So is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please, Sam.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Doherty?
Yes,
Council President Lee Tag?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, good synopsis on the energy market. They said Loudoun County is one of the biggest growing areas of AI data centers in Virginia, all outside DC. And like, for instance, Microsoft, just to power what they're trying to do, they just leased 3 Mile Island to restart the nuclear
Yeah.
reactor.
did that actually go through? Cause I heard them talking about doing that.
Yeah, I heard it's gonna happen. It was a huge deal that they signed, and
Makes
New
sense.
Jersey is that whole nuclear facility down in, was it Salem County?
Each bottom line.
Yeah, they're talking about the need to reactivate a lot of these places
Yeah.
because of, for AI, just it requires so much power to run these centers.
There was a public hearing through the committee in the joint committee of the legislature on telecom and energy, where there was a big public hearing so people could come and talk about it. And I believe there's a second one scheduled for this month,
Mhm.
so that people are fully aware of these increases in energy, because it's going to go up tremendously. And it really is a consumption. It's a supply and demand issue. So it's not even how it was explained to me was it's not even about what's going on in terms of green energy production
It's growing
and
demand.
those fluctuations in what, what administrations are supporting different elements of energy production. It is just that these AI centers are just taking so much energy, and there are plants that will be built
Mhm.
to supply energy, but they're queued and it takes time to onboard all of it. And it's not anywhere near the point to which it needs to be in terms of the production, so.
Assemblyman D'Angelo just wrote his op-ed on all the above approach for New Jersey because of the shortfall.
Yeah,
It was talking about
pretty
the
much.
20% increase, yeah.
Yeah, the windmill, whether the debate on the windmills is hurting cheap and easy energy production, and whether or not to the nuclear power plants in New Jersey, there were once 3. And I don't know, I know they're not all functioning.
Yeah.
They were being decommissioned, so there may have been more. But so there's debates of whether to keep some of the, you've got coal back on the table, you've got a conversation about
Natural
everything
gas.
converting to electric. So
Yeah,
it's a very interesting issue.
yeah, everyone, I mean, it's interesting, like AI, they talk about all this stuff with it, but there's just not enough power for it.
Yeah, and it's just, then
All
the,
the
like, I
computing.
pushed back and said, okay, then why are they in a queue and revving up if everybody else needs energy to live? Like, is there a queue of what should be allowed to onboard versus like, if you can't supply the energy fast enough for that, should they be onboarded?
Right.
Unless they have their own ability to produce energy, which it sounds like they're trying to work around,
They're doing like these third party arrangements, yeah.
so, yeah.
It's not good for the consumer.
No, not at all, it's just gonna continue to escalate.
The next resolution is resolution 2025-77. Loan closing resolution, RUS Bulletin 1780-27, loan resolution, public bodies 2021-58. Motion for adoption,
So moved.
second,
Second, John.
any questions or comments?
Just
Janet?
one question. On page one, it says the amount is 1.5 million, and then on the grant amount is 1.388. Is that difference due to fees that are coming off of it, or is that,
I'm sorry, what was your question?
so on the front page, the
Right,
amount is 1,590,000.
Yeah.
yes,
So that's the total amount of the grant,
that's the loan amount,
sorry,
the
loan
loan.
amount.
that's the loan amount.
Yeah. And then on line 17, on the second page, it says to accept the grant in amount not to exceed 1,388, et cetera.
Yes.
So why the difference?
So on the Hilltop program, there are two components of the funding from USDA. One is a loan. I'm gonna say 1.5% interest, 40 years.
Yeah.
The second piece of that is a grant.
Okay,
So in preparation for closing out that project, we're starting to put final documents together to close on the loan, similar to what you would do on a mortgage or, I guess, a car. And to accept the grant amount as well.
so when you say close on the loan, does that mean getting a new loan or retiring the loan?
Closing on the loan, like signing for, like closing on a house.
Right, so this is where we
We're
are
signing the official
signing for
loan
the-
getting
documents.
to get the money.
Yeah.
For the, yeah,
Yeah,
You've got to finish that project. As I understand it, you finish the project, you do the final, everybody's got their final numbers and,
I see.
and at that point, they can determine that you've complied with all the grant and loan requirements both,
I can.
and then you close
you
On the
get the
loan.
money.
Yeah,
and you actually get the money.
because we use
And then you
temporary
enter-
financing for now,
Yep.
yeah.
For now, we're using temporary financing. We issued bond anticipation notes
Yeah,
last
I
summer.
remember that, yeah.
And we're going to take some short-term notes to get us through to this actual closing. So we hope in August that we'll close on the loan. And we'll also close on the grant, which means we'll get the grant money.
So does this mean we're getting a grant for 1,388 and the difference up to 1.5 is what we're borrowing?
No, you're borrowing a full 1.5
Okay,
and you're getting a grant of 1.3.
so does that mean we're getting 1.3 plus 1.5?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
I'm sorry.
it's two pieces, yeah,
Yes. Two pieces. One is a loan that you have to pay back.
and the 1.3 is
And
the
the
grant,
1.3
is
is
the
here's your
money
money.
given to us.
Got it. Thank you very much.
All right, any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bernhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Dougherty.
Yes,
Councilmember Pizzak.
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien.
Yes.
Councilmember Updike.
Yes.
And item D, resolution 2028-78, approving the cross acceptance response template as prepared by the Frenchtown Borough Planning Board. So I just want to thank Chairwoman Eckel for her work on that, as well as I know that John Demblick, the vice chair, was very active in it, Darlene, the planner. Also, Councilman Doherty, in your capacity as liaison to the planning board, you've done some work with this too, so thank you for that.
well,
This took a lot of work, and with everything else going on, it was not easy, given the open space plan, not affordable housing, but also we're gonna have an open space plan soon, and then just doing this on top of everything was not easy, so I appreciate the time that went into this, so we can make sure that we comment on this. This is something that has been initiated by Hunterdon County through the Planning and Land Use Department, and we didn't have a lot of time to respond to it. Do you have anything to that?
no, thank you.
Okay,
That covers it.
with that, roll call, please.
Yeah, a motion.
Oh, I thought we had a motion to adopt.
I'll move it.
Second.
Okay, thank you, and roll call.
Councilmember Bernhardt?
Yes.
Councilmember Dockery?
Yes,
Council President Lee Tag?
Yes.
Councilmember O'Brien?
Yes.
Councilmember Updike?
Yes.
Old business, Frenchtown Bookshop request for special use permits, anything new?
Yeah. I had some comments. Looked at our attorney's letter and my comment, and he said, well, you should put on the agenda for this meeting was, are we, because I think the gist of the letter was, go back to the planning board now. And my thought was, well, okay, or should we say after the 2025 season is over? I didn't want to necessarily, I don't know what their plans are. So that was my concern. They've submitted all of the requests that they want for 2025.
My initial thought is just, it seemed that author readings and things of that nature don't create the conflict. But they do want to do outdoor music events.
Right.
And it's the
that's-
music events that really
absolutely.
upset the neighbors and stuff.
Yeah,
And I think the sooner they go back and address that issue with the planning board on the outdoor music, the better, because that's definitely a very bad issue among the community down
Yeah.
there.
yeah,
The author readings. I know that in the short run, we were advised by our zoning officer that they come before us, especially to do those. I don't find those personally just to be a problem. Like, it seems like whatever they need to do, to get through the calendar, that's not so much a problem. Cause it was something that the former bookstore had, and there was never conflict.
yeah.
But definitely the music, the amplified music is a real issue.
Well, and that's what the zoning officer made clear was that fell outside what could be considered the normal function of the bookstore. Whereas an author reading unamplified
Is
fell within the
appropriate, yeah.
bounds of what
Mhm.
you would expect at a bookstore, so.
And also for everyone to know too, I had Sam pull the meeting that the owner of the bookshop was at in September of 2024, where we talked about the issue. So taking into account that conversation, as well as the direction of the zoning official. And I think we craft a letter to the owner of the bookshop that says the zoning official is very clear on what is acceptable use. We had the conversation in September of 2024,
Okay.
and then just give counsel to move toward the planning board in terms of working outside of
Yeah.
the
Granting any relief.
zoning officials, right,
If they want relief on it.
right.
So do we need to make some comments or amendments or revisions to our attorney's letter?
I think we should. I think we need to look at the letter and see. I don't recall exactly
I
the
don't
points
either.
that were made in either, so. But I think what's important is to educate the owner and give instructions on how to proceed.
Well, I can make some suggested changes to the letter.
I will too. I'll take another look at it now that I've done the due diligence on. I just wanted to bring my
Thank you
brain
for-
back to
Yes.
what we had discussed,
I'm not
because it should not be coming blind.
Yeah, and we shouldn't be relying on what we think we remember.
Correct.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay,
So.
so I'll chat with you about that.
Mhm.
Anything else on the topic? Okay, just wanted a quick update. Things are going well in the Hilltop streets. The contractors got a lot of the punch list stuff done. So I
Okay.
think that's good that the guardrails up by that detention basin people were worried about. There's been topsoil going down, some pavement work. I don't think they have too much more to go, so hopefully that'll be done. And then it'll enable us to close out the project sooner rather than later, but they made a lot of, they've been there all week working. They cleaned up a lot of brush. They actually did extra brush work. We had them just do it around some of those homeowners, and they were concerned about it. It looks good. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Brad, how many properties are affected by that project? How many hookups?
24, I think it was.
Yeah.
24 is potential hookups?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, Sorry.
No, it's good, no, because we've actually, some of those homeowners have been reaching out, just making sure, that they're gonna get bills soon and all that stuff, so.
Right, I think that's important, we're trying to connect the dots. In
And we
Berlin,
also-
make sure
That window expired for them for the discounted rate, so we gotta see if there's anyone outstanding that didn't convert.
Oh,
That's another issue, because they had a certain amount of time under the existing ordinance, been around forever to convert over. And we had a discount window on the hookup phase, so we gotta see if anyone
Right.
did not do the conversion.
We're talking about hookup to sewer?
Yeah, and to decommission the septic.
Okay.
Anything else that anyone needs to discuss?
I don't know,
What's that? Was that the one you visited?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, do you wanna talk about it?
So the Thompson track, 37 Ridge Road, had been doing some earth moving, cleaning up his backyard after purchasing the property. A review, inspection of the park itself by the Environmental Commission saw that some trees were downed and pushed onto the Thompson track, along with some other earth moving. The owner said, I did an inspection last week with the owner, and he said he was just moving trees that had come down, a lot of ash trees. That storm, I went the day after the storm, and 2 were down on his property alone, that one across the property line. And I have photos of it.
Yeah,
So he was just cleaning that up, pushed it into one big mound that ended up being pushed onto the Thompson track. It's a combination of everything that was back there that was piled up, not just, there were years of detritus from the previous owner.
yeah, that property was kind of abandoned almost for a
Yeah.
while.
It was,
Yeah.
and they not just abandoned, apparently, I was told. He just pushed everything in the backyard, whether it be garbage, I don't know, and so. The owner said he picked a lot of that out, but pushed everything into a mound, was not trying to intentionally push it onto the borough property. Moral of the story is. He said he can have that mound, which he was given a cease and desist. To not do anything, that could be cleaned up within a day or two.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of equipment, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got large moving equipment. With that, he did offer in the future also, any assistance in the park for free donated with trail clearing.
Yeah.
And his associates. He does park trail clearing.
Yeah, he's a big outfit, the guy that bought it.
yeah,
They have 300+ employees
Yeah.
for.
Wow.
Long,
okay.
He lives,
I-
it's actually in Kingwood Township. It's a house just outside the border, right?
yeah,
37.
it literally, you can look from here to the door.
Yeah,
Away from, and so, he said he's willing to help in any way he wanted. It wasn't intentional.
Mhm.
He said, I was just moving everything, it was a big mess. And to be honest, he's one of these people, he just gets things done. It just keeps going.
Mhm.
So I think was part of it. No,
Yeah.
so photo documented it, had a discussion. He's willing to work with the borough and, whatever is needed.
it's that's a nice offer, yeah. And, yeah.
That's something we could communicate to DPW.
Oh, about having him help, yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to tuck it away before, they get out into, something that maybe we could have
And
gotten some volunteer service.
yeah,
with.
and he's working with Habitat, not just for this mound or trees that were removed. He works with people, I forget the name. Where they take the trees that's donated and they build habitats for the. He's got a mom with 2 bears out back.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? So he's leaving one section alone right now.
Yeah.
There's 2
Huh.
cubs running around,
Huh,
but he does.
right on the border.
That sounds
Yeah,
great.
he goes, have you seen him downtown? I'm like, no. So,
Oh, boy.
Don't walk.
so it's not just.
I know, really.
It's not for profit with these trees,
Yeah.
he's not just getting money for them, he's giving it to conservation,
Yeah.
these groups that we'll work with. So more details to follow,
Okay.
but that was just a brief
Pretty
conversation we had.
It's also just really highly appreciated that he's willing to work on resolving the issues that were flagged
sure.
and with the
Mhm.
borough, yeah,
And thank you for going out and meeting with him.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if there's anything else in the future, we, more correspondence, but it's positive.
That's
It's going
good.
to work.
Yeah.
It's great.
Anything else, Mayor? Any other comments? All right, with that, it's 7:34. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
I.